Okay, welcome to this challenge, challenge number 33. This is actually a quite challenging one because we have a very messy data set when you clean. It's better to have look the resulting output so we can understand what we try to look in the initial data set. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to understand. We can see what we have is actually breaking into two chunks. Overall, we have a 12 columns, 30 rows. So the first four columns, we have some kind of meta information, the file names, grouping by stuff. Then for the second half, we have eight columns. If you look there, you will notice it's just probably measure and it's a rating, measure, rating, measure, rating. Because this is from TV, so I think the first one measure is some kind of population for a particular demographics. Then you have the corresponding rating for those demographics. We have so basically we have four pairs of metrics, four columns in the front, we have a 30 to find. Look at the input dataset. 12 columns fine, we have 755 rows, so we have a lot of things in there. On top of that, we notice, oh, those may, that doesn't seem to appear in the final answer. That's probably just some kind of meta information on top left. Line up, so the middle chunk, that's good. That's the thing we're interested. So that's corresponding to the initial four columns. If we scroll down, the last row is indeed 30. So at least this up to here, we know the first four columns. That's good. That's easy to find. If we scroll down to see more information below, there is a lot of text. Generally, if you text, that's more to the context of data source rather than the actual data. So we'll probably want to skip those type of information. And now we can see some of the data we're probably interested and start to slowly pop up. In the final answer, what we're looking for two things. We're looking for one's like metrics, the other is kind of the rating. Okay, actually do the workflow. Now, because we have a lot messy data structure, it's hard to keep things as it is. The first thing I want to do is record ID and make sure all the rows is indeed, because we want to do the different batch. The top batch, you have some kind of method. The first four columns, then you have the second batch, the middle chunk of data. The last part, the overall, if it's needed, sure, we can probably use it. Otherwise, we don't worry too much about that. Particularly with the new Alteryx, you have an engine, so will affect the order of sorting. For us, we don't know the big context of the data. In this particular case, we have 30 programs. Generally, are you getting 30 programs? It's always down, or you may have a different number. We don't know. So for us, as far as the challenge goes, let's assume we have a less more static selection. I'm going to use select records because you have different fields. This field are misaligned. You don't necessarily know that one particular column you want to do your filtering, do some logic. In terms, the first one, we're looking for row number 7 up to. So we have 30 rows, so that goes to row 37. That's fine. Then the bottom chunk, we have our viewing numbers. We're going to do the same thing. If you do have things that constantly changing, it's a bit more dynamic. You probably want to resort to different solutions. Then you probably want to pick a column to do your if statement. Use column 1, column 2, column 3, etc. as a logic to test. For me, I'm going to just stick. I'm going to use a by station as a start, the service provided to the end. So the first station to start is row 60. Anything between, we don't care, it's repeating, so we can handle all those repeating fields until we scroll down to the very summary. So up to here, summary the last service provided by ACT is 614. Okay, let's run it. Let's see the data set we have. 12 half is fine. Well, that's probably exactly what we expected. Just regular select to drop the no column is good. First row as header, you use dynamic rename that can replace. That's easy. Then let's look at the middle chunk. How are we going to handle those things? So by station is a standard text, it's also there, so we'll probably drop it. We have some kind of null rows in it. Okay, we'll probably need to drop it. Then you have a lot of text field, so we'll probably want to drop that as well. Those are fun because those are just missing value. We don't worry about. The main data probably by batch is those rows only. So in the Nielsen audio metro area column, we have the list text field we know how to filter. Among the actual data, we need to understand how they are constructed. So you have a top value, persons 12 plus, that's the one. Then you have the header row. Okay, that's fine. The next one, I don't know what RTG is. Probably that stands for rating. Something rating, day parts, cumulative rating. Okay, yeah. The day parts probably is some kind of aggregation, maybe. Let's do that. Indicate we probably just need those two values, I think. But the one on top, population in tab, no idea what that is. That's manageable. We can see how we're gonna handle those later. Header-wise, seems to repeat, and that's not too bad. Header-wise, it's repeat. So it's metro 12, P12, P12 metro rank. That's a lot of repeating information on it. Anyway, let's filter out some missing rows first. One trick I use is like this, because that's the single column we use as a filter condition. Yeah, the null rows a bit annoying. We'll worry about that next. I want an extra header. We can use that as a text input. So the null row we don't need to worry about. The metric query, let's get rid of those rows. We can just do a join on the terms we want. This is a join filter. It's kind of like a bit lazy way. That wasn't lazy. It's a bit more. You just look up table to do set up a conditions and do the join filter to get rid of unnecessary fields. So we're going to join the first column. Nelson, come on. Nelson rating, matchup, fun. Do we care right, or we don't care anything about the right field? Do a join. So the thing that's matched should be in the join. That's anything we interested. That's should be the leftover. That's unmatched. That should come out as the left join. So in the join, yeah, a lot of repeating. Quick scroll down the thing. You can see there's no data in the view. That's okay. Right, we don't care. Oh, we do have a system. Did a match? Oh, what does this provide? Let's have a look left. Okay, that's fine. That's a system. Oh, here we are. Why they don't match? Ah, it's a truncated field. That's why it doesn't match the things. Okay, let's go to the initial browser. The browser will have the complete field. Select field with a header. So that's a service. Replace that. We'll run the thing again. Hopefully that'll clean up some of the fields. That's a very long text. When you do the join, try not to do on the very, very long text. Inner join, what's the left join? Okay, we got a field, that's good. Sorted the field. Market ranks. Oop, we probably don't want market ranks. Your market ranks contain those things. Oh, actually, total AB we don't ARB we don't need because it's repeating. P12s, the P12 is the header rows. So probably just need one of those guys rather than a lot of those things. Querying, yeah, querying. Da, 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 da. Hmm. In that case, because what we have is constant repeating pattern, so you can see we can probably drop those columns. You have a full measure. Full measure, given the rows, we actually know what they are. So we can use one of the rows to get a header rows. Let's just go down to the header rows. So that's your header. Everything else is data. Do. Okay, let me just look. What are we looking for with the four pair of metrics? So you have a P12 plus rating. P12. Oh, sorry, that's the four rows. Column. Sorry, four column you want. P12 rating, consume rating. Then you have the 54 combinations. Yeah, that's literally those eight numbers we are interested. Okay, that'll make life easier. Mhm. So that means in the case we can select those two. We don't need those column anymore. Actually, let's replace that. Because the service is too long, it's impact our drawings. I can do a separate filter to get the service route. If the thing start or contains the service, it's probably the quick way of doing things. .ab will market ranks. Market ranks is a header row. We don't care about that. We can stick things in the filter. For the final output, we know we're going to have the service thing. We do not want a text. We can fill those rows out as well. Let me get that row first. Da, 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 da. Let me see. I think let's run the workflow, get some data flow. So that's why I think this challenge, particular challenge is challenging because you do actually have a lot less dynamic options available. You can make things dynamic, but you do take additional steps to handle. For the oops, question. So the left hand side join, yeah, service provided. I'm gonna just copy those chunk, copy. So we're looking for the next column does not start with, not contain. What do they have? Contain. Oh, it's not an option. So let's say what type it. So not start with string. We have an IE Nielsen rating. What the target you're looking for? Potential text. It's much easier for the text to search to get results. Let's probably cache on this anchor. Hopefully I'll run things a bit faster. Okay, so that's good. If we scroll down, yeah, probably the data is over there. We can do some addition. The record idea was to keep it because what they do is they keep things for us in order. In this column, we can see column 7. Under the Nielsen column, they can be joined. At the moment, they're both null columns, so you can get 8 rows left. So we can update the column number. While for the row number, let's see. It's how we're going to populate those. Yeah, for the row number, I'll probably use field 3. No, actually, I think we'll use field 4 because field 3 you still have NA in it. So we want the field 4 to be not null. So let's see. We can do select, drop the column first. Actually, let's do field first. The column, I want to change my name later as well. Like I said, you can make things more dynamic by taking the header row to do some string concatenation. But sometimes if life give you the easy option, then you probably just take the easy one. So we're looking for not now. Let's just put a select there for the moment. You won't go. So not now should drop every single non-data row, so any null value. In terms of the columns, we care the first column, yes. Nelson, we can drop 1, 2, 3, 4. We should get blank 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just quickly check if that's the one we get. Nope, we need a 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, and 12. Let's. So my expectation is what's left over should be padded out the data. 62. Oh, that's not what I want. And 3, yes, because you have field 3. I should use the field 4 instead. So we don't need the NA. NA is the repeating part. So field 4 is not now. Hopefully that runs that gave you 30 rows of data. Ooh, 31 rows of data. We expect 30. We're bringing in one extra row. That's not good. Let's look our data set. Where do we have the extra row from? Hmm. So let's put a little bit comma in the numbers. Try to make it very easy to read. Sorry, they are all string field. If it's in the number field, you can use show the separator to make it easier to view your data. So those row looks overall is okay. No, that's puzzling. Oh well. Da, 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 da. So for me, if I'm going to be a bit lazy, I may just use the text input, the one they provided as our field. You can still manually type things up, but I don't trust my typing skills, so and it's probably take too long to do. We're gonna use a standard trick. We're gonna group by each of those. Yeah, we're gonna pivot. So when pivot along, you can create a column of the headers. Then you can use the dynamic replace to input with the new headers. Mhm. Do you group by? We don't want to group by. You can probably in the correct order. We're gonna have a record ID. We probably don't need a record ID. So just to be safe, let me just sort it. It's harder to tell which row, which tool can use AMP engine, which doesn't. So let me just trust myself. Let's see, record ID. Let's go. So the first row, we gonna get. I feel the first row probably like some kind of total sum. Maybe need to drop it. Anyway, you have 143, 125. That match with the results. So it's 125 here. The first three rows you get 125, 996, 543. So 125, 996, 143. Yeah, the first row probably some kind of aggregate. The numbers significantly higher than everything else. That's maybe the total sum for the whole data points. We're going to modify that next. What we have, pivoting produce the header row. Oh, there's even a training space. Dynamic, rename. So drag in. In the past, the most common use, we'll see in the top half the workflow as well. You use the first row of data, but we're going to use, going down a bit, we're going to use from right. And the right, I think, first row of data. Right input rows. Warning blah blah, old name field should be from use position rename because we dropped on the column. Hopefully that's right. Let's give it a try. All the dynamic tools, they are pretty powerful if used correctly. Does take some time to fiddle and to get it correct. All those does depends on the job you choose. That's why the record ID is very important and make sure the order is right. So you can join, append, etc. And they can attach column header by position rather than by other join fields. Like we said, the first row is, I think, first row is wrong. Let's just remove our data point first to see which part I did I miss. Clear the cache. The data, because it's saved cache through, if you clear cache, you clear data. That means you do need run your workflow again. That's okay. That's probably the last run we need to test it. So it's before the filtering. Let's go to the earlier data source. Uh, yeah, let's go even here. Nope. Let's even go further back. Go to the record ID. Let's trace to the very start. We have a lot of things. So the first one we have is probably those rows. So we have a 22143. What's the difference? Let's drag top. Let's see. You have those guys. You have those guys. Total ARB population in tab 125. Oh yeah, so it's the 2212. It's look like a appear in both cases. That's probably the total for everybody. Because it says it's a probably population that indicate that's the whole value. That is sum of those numbers? Maybe, probably not. So it's probably the two, whatever that's what that is, probably 22. That's million or billions or something. So 22, 22, it keep pop up. Hmm. Okay, at least we know the 2212 should be filtered out. Is that filtered out as we expected? No, it's 143, 135. That's the one need to be handled. Hmm. Oh well. I'll pause the video and have a look on this thing. Okay, so had a look on those things. I don't understand where the first row come from. I guess it's a total for everything else below. So the 22 something billions is probably the global total, while this 14 million is probably more like row column level, the totals. So we can see the rating is substantially different. It's not necessarily some, but some is a bit off, but weird. At the moment, we can probably just sample and skip the first row. Now, I dropped the record ID. Otherwise, generally speaking, I prefer to keep a record ID throughout the data. Only drop it at the very end because it guarantee you have the same position everywhere. The only reason I try to drop it a bit earlier, just because you have the dynamic rename. You can create a dynamic rename. Actually, speak of that, let's try to do a better practice. I want to keep use the dynamic rename. It's probably better way to do things. I always prefer to have a record ID, so even with unpunching, I'm not guaranteed the position I have is what I intended to have. Ooh, freezing a bit. So you can use create a formula, a dummy row. So text input. Yeah, so we know what we want is I want a selector with the headers. Paste the data. What we want a record ID. Let's say the first one is 0. We're feeding as a union tool. Just make sure the record ID is the first one because you want join with the previous one. So we do on a specific order at the moment. Say number 2 should go above that. Then in the select tool, we don't need to drop the record ID. We can keep as it is. Let's try to run again to see. Because if you have the record ID, then it's easier to filter things. You can use the record ID as a specific condition to filter that one single row rather than use the sample. Because sample, I think it could preserve the order, particularly select first, select last, but it's ideal to keep things more intact. Yeah, we can see the record ID is still sorted correctly. So all the tools in between did not uh, delete. They did not change the order position. Even if we would use sample drop the first, we know the row job is correctly. I wouldn't necessarily use row 66 specific row because it's really not dynamic. You may have a different data set. They have introduced one additional row that will mess up your entire calculation. That's not the best practice. If I have a record ID, it's easier to handle. Let's actually build the bottom half. That should be done. Let's do the top half. The top half, you select. Let's drop the now columns. I'm going to keep the record ID for the moment because, like I said, I still want to keep it. Actually, scrub that. I don't need the record ID for this particular one because we do have a code which is giving sorting order. So we don't care sort ID. I put the things we look into all the way up to field 5. So we're looking for the three. No, we're looking for four columns. Yeah, 2 to 5. Once that's done, dynamic rename. We want the first row to be our headers. So we should expect to 4 column, 30 rows from this. Zoom out a bit. Good. So check both results. We skip the first row, bump up the number with 30 rows, 9 column. And the top we have 30 rows and 4 columns. That's fun. We can do a join. Now, of course, we cannot join on any particular key field because the record ID is distinct. What we could do is we can join on position because we know the 30 rows we have, and in that particular order, we can say join just by position. That's what record ID is used for, a preserved order. The ID itself, kind of like dummy tracker, we don't need. We can drop it. Everything else we probably need and run the final workflow. Yeah. So we should have our 12 columns and 30 rows of data. Hopefully the metric is right. This particular exercise, I do find it challenging because you have a lot of manual assumption. You implement particular like records. We use a specific number, not the best choice. But ideally, you would like to have a bit more specific because you don't have a key join field on the first blob of data, second blob of data. You pretty much have to trust almost by position instead. If they do produce a bad output, you can ask to see, okay, what is the correct version of doing that? What is the correct field? Can you output with some kind of join field or position field or etc.? If you have very messy scaffolded data, maybe it comes through other process, web scraping, or some kind of data extraction from some kind of Excel, not Excel, probably PDF or something. But that is the whole process I want to do for this challenge. It does take a lot of thinking in each step to make some decisions, but once you apply the process, then the final answer is actually quite doable and a look very good format. Uh, thanks for watching.